Hey guys, Paul1701 here, and today we're going to talk about Victory of the Daleks and why it was almost great, because there's really just a couple things holding this story back for me. Now, let's go ahead and get out of the way that this story is very similar to Power of the Daleks. It really is, as other people have said, an inferior version of Power of the Daleks. Power is just better written, better, and, well, they're both really well acted, but I think Power is better written. Even the animated version of Power is better than Victory. It's just better. But Victory of the Daleks I actually do enjoy more, I think, than most people. It just has a couple things holding it back. The first half of the story I think is great. Everything up to the Paradigm Daleks showing up. We'll move into that. But everything up to the Paradigm Daleks showing up I like. We're still getting used to Matt Smith at this point. It's his third episode. He's great here. I love the guy playing Winston Churchill. He's really good. I like him as an actor. I love the dynamic that Churchill and the Doctor have, the rapport. You can tell they've met several times before. They're pretty good friends. They seem to get along pretty well. The fact that, Churchill knows he can regenerate, change his face. You changed again. They do. They talk like two old friends who hadn't seen each other in a while. So I like that relationship that's established with them. Amy's still kind of getting used to traveling with the Doctor. The Doctor's reaction to meeting the Daleks. I like when he gets mad and just starts kind of beating the Dalek with a wrench or a pipe or whatever he's hitting it with. He's like, "Why are you here?" "Bam! You know who I am. You always know." I love that. I like the fact that Matt, especially early in his run, he really could get pretty angry. We'd seen him lose his temper in Beast Below right before that. I like that little bit of anger he had in those early episodes, where it became more of a calm type anger later in his run. But yeah, I definitely I like that. I love the little nod to Power with the "I am your soldier," as a nod to the "I am your servant" line from Power, which it talks about in the behind the scenes stuff. Everything up to there is good. I like the professor, the one who supposedly created the Daleks. He does remind me a lot of Lesterson from Power, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was purposely kind of modeled after him. And I love the fact that it's kind of the inverse of Lester in a way, though. Whereas I love the little spin that you find out the Doctor in Victory was actually created by the Daleks, not the other way around. He's a machine that the Daleks created to think he had created them. It's a nice little twist on that. My sinuses are all over the place. And then at the end, when he finds out he's a bomb, he's able to remain calm and rational and turn it off. Whereas in Power, Lesterson kind of flipped his lid and went crazy. I mean, he became paranoid, and then he just kind of mentally broke inside. So the human couldn't handle it, but in Victory, the machine that kind of is made, that's got to be a nod to Lesterson. He looks too much like an older version of Lesterson not to be. He's able to maintain and ends up surviving the episode, which I really like. I like the actor who plays him. The main two places it loses me is, one, the Paradigm Daleks. This doesn't bother me as much as it used to. I know this is a lot of people's sore point, and you'll notice you don't really see the Paradigm Daleks anymore. And they do look a little silly. I think I get what Moffat was going for with the, they kind of look like the Daleks from the Peter Cushing movies with all the different colors, and each color was supposed to, represent a certain station they work with the Paradigm Daleks, and that's a neat idea. And I wouldn't even mind that idea of the different colored ones if they didn't look so plastic and cheap and fruity. I call them the Fruity Daleks. Are you allowed to say that? I'm never quite sure what I'm allowed to say these days. I don't care. Anyway, the Fruity Daleks show up. I do like the scene when they kill all the old Daleks, though, because that does fit with Dalek culture, where, if you're not pure Dalek, you're inferior and you die. That's why the Dalek Civil War broke out in Classic Who. One group of Daleks had mutated too much to where the other Daleks were like, "You're not Daleks anymore." So I like that keeps with the canon. And, "Are you prepared? We are ready." And he just boom, 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 boom. And the new Daleks destroy all the old Daleks. I actually like that. That's very fitting for the Daleks. I don't mind the Paradigm Daleks as much now. I think partially just because I found out some of the behind the scenes stuff that they were each supposed to have their own different kind of backup weapon. Like the back could rotate around to the front, and they were each supposed to have their own kind of individual weapon back there. Now, I've always been fascinated by that, and always wanted to see that actually put into the show. I wouldn't mind seeing the Paradigm Daleks come back as long as they were done well and they were utilized, and it gave a good reason for their existence. And I would love to see those backup weapons, those different weapons they're all supposed to have. I don't know why, I just want to see that very badly. That's another way Victory actually follows Power. In Power, the Daleks are rebuilding themselves, and in Victory, they're rebuilding themselves. Another thing I love about Victory, one of the reasons I actually do like Victory, is the fact the Daleks win. I mean, it is Victory of the Daleks. They get away. I mean, they trick the Doctor into enabling them to recreate themselves, and they're a battle, I won't say a fleet, but they're a threat again. They get away, and it's because they get away that they become a threat again. So the Daleks win. They accomplish their objective. They get the Doctor there because these Daleks, the old Daleks, aren't pure enough of Daleks for the machine to recreate the Daleks to recognize them, so they need the Doctor's voice print saying that they are Daleks. You know, I am the Doctor and you are the Daleks. So they accomplish that. They get the new Daleks out, and then they get away. The Doctor doesn't stop them. They actually escape. So the Daleks win. I like that. There's no Deus Ex Machina where the Doctor manages to blow all of them up, like in most stories when there's a lot of Daleks. So it does something different. I mean, even Power of the Daleks has that Deus Ex Machina where he just does some clever thing, blows them all up at the end. So I will give Victory of the Daleks credit because it's nice to see the Daleks win, because it's hard to think of the Daleks or the Cybermen or the Master as a threat when they get thwarted every single time. Especially if they get Deus Ex Machina thwarted every single time. You know, they lose their edge. That's what I liked about the classic series is a lot of times there would be those long bouts, years, where you wouldn't see the big bads. You know, was it an 8-year gap between Revenge of the Cybermen and Earthshock? No Cybermen. You know, you'd have 5 or 6 year gaps between Dalek episodes sometimes. I like that. And you'd have long gaps between the Master. I mean, Tom Baker only ran into the Master 3 times, and 2 of those stories were right there in a row. His last 2. So, it's nice not to see that. You don't want to see these main villains lose their scare factor, so to speak. You know, to the point to where whenever you see them, you're just like, they're not a threat. So when you get something like Victory of the Daleks, and they actually win, they get away, you know, the convention's kind of turned on its head, and it makes them threatening again. And I like that. I enjoy that. The main problem I have with the episode, the what I call the Happy Days jump the shark moment for me, the one thing my mind just can't handle, is the World War II planes in space. My mind checks out right there. You have World War II fighter planes flying in space, shooting guns that can hurt a Dalek ship. Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. First off, it's a Dalek ship. There's nothing you're going to have on board that's going to hurt that Dalek ship. 2, that's a World War II plane. That thing is not going to go in space and fight. And I know you can say, well, the Doctor modified it. Bullshit. I get he could do it, but my mind checks out. And I know what you're saying. Dude, it's Doctor Who. It's a guy time traveling in a police box that's bigger on the inside who can change into a different gender, face, etc. And I get that. There's any kind of sci-fi show, there's a certain suspension of disbelief you have to have. Any kind of science fiction show or fantasy show, you got to have some kind of suspension of disbelief. But have you ever ran into a situation in any sci-fi show, Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, about Battlestar Galactica, have you ever ran into something where there's just something that your willing suspension of disbelief says, nope. It could be a little thing, but just for some reason, for you personally, your mind checks out. It sees it and goes, nope, That's what I had for this moment. Just for some reason, the World War II planes in space, flying around, my mind just thinks it's ridiculous. It's silly. It's silly, stupid, ridiculous, unbelievable, and my mind clicks out right there. It's the spot. The first time I watched it, I think I kind of lost it at the Paradigm Daleks. But these days, I can handle those now. These days, it's always that fighter scene. My mind checks out. That's when the episode goes for me right there. As I cannot. My willing suspension of disbelief can't handle that. It can't deal with that. I mean, and then after the battle, he just fixes the planes back to normal, and Churchill doesn't say anything about it. And then the fighters never talk about it. Why is there a historical record of this? Yeah, I don't know. To me, that is the main sticky point of why Victory of the Daleks is not really a great episode. And it's hard to even call it a good episode, because I like the episode. If it wasn't for that sticky point, I'd call it a pretty good episode. Even the Paradigm Daleks I can accept, but I can't wrap my head around that. The fighter planes, the World War II planes, in space hurting a Dalek ship, with the possible ability to destroy it. I check out, man. I check out. I can't do it. So I wouldn't actually mind seeing the Paradigm Daleks back. I can handle that. If we got more of an explanation for why they exist, what they are, and to see those secondary weapons in use. But for the most part, it's not a bad story. It does a lot of neat things. It mirrors Power of the Daleks in some pretty good ways. That's a good story to mirror if you're going to do one. And I like the fact the Daleks win. So, yeah, what is your thought on Victory of the Daleks? Do you just flat out dislike it like a lot of people do? Does it have some redeeming factors you like? Is it okay to you? It just has a couple of the moments, like the Paradigm Daleks maybe, that just make you go, no, out. You just mentally check out right there. Give me your opinion on it. Tell me what you think of Victory of the Daleks and what you think of my opinion of Victory of the Daleks. Anyway, I'm Prowl1701. Check out my main channel, Prowl1701, PROWL1701, where I talk about all things Star Wars, mostly lightsaber replicas. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and most importantly, stay safe, and thank you for watching.